I'm just a simple artist who has a love for art in many forms, and not just when it comes to art and imagery. Art sometimes comes in the form of movies, games, or even anime. And today, we're going to recap the entire story of a computer-generated OVA called Malice Doll. Malice Doll is a 2001 CGI original video animation directed by Keitaro Motonaga, written by Chiaki Konaka, licensed by Arts Magic, and created by two studios known as Gaga Communications and Soen Shisha, with the former being the same studio that also gave us Alice from 2000, which is the first Japanese computer-generated movie. Just as a warning, this OVA is an adult OVA, containing scenes of adult situations and violence, including symbolism, and being a Lynch-like mixture of Nier Automata with Eraserhead and Sayano Uta. Thus, to make this recap family-friendly, some screenshots from the OVA that are considered safe to show will only be shown on screen instead. Also, if you have a kid watching this or are a kid watching this, please go watch a different video instead. I can't have that on my conscience. I also apologize if I butcher any of the characters' names. Now with that said, let's begin the story of Malice Doll. Our story begins with our title character waking up in her room after having a dream about a bouncing ball. Once she wakes up, she's greeted by Freddy, who tells her that her dream is a memory of the distant past. We learn that Malice and her friends are called machines. Specifically, they're simply robots. The mechanical-looking robots, such as Freddy himself, mostly do normal labor such as car washing, fixing, cable wires, etc. In Freddy's case, he's a cleaning robot. In Malice's case, she's a special type of machine referred to as a doll. In simple terms, a doll is an android. We see her walking in what appears to be a city, but it's empty as she has a flashback to when it was filled with people. As it turns out, the abandoned city is a red light district that used to be lively, and Malice, along with other androids who are also dolls, are actually... yeah, you can tell why this OVA is for adults. As for why the city was abandoned, an apocalypse occurred prior to the events of the main story, which eradicated humanity, leaving only the machine lifeforms and the androids with nothing left other than simply continuing their jobs as they slowly deteriorate over time and eventually shut down. As Malice tries to find anyone who she can take as a client to keep them company by helping them complete a visual novel like Radical Dreamers, she notices her own deteriorating body when a liquid-like substance, maybe oil, starts leaking from her left eye. Another robot by the name of Administrator Joe, also known as Joe Admin, who governs the robot inhabited area, advises Malice to find the repairer, but also warns her not to run into Devo Leukocyte, a powerful robot who used to be a bodyguard for the machines and the dolls, but forgot his original program over time and eventually became hostile towards anything he comes across. After that, Malice runs into Melissa Piper, a plumbing robot who also appears to be broken and in need of repairment. When Malice offers to let Melissa join her in finding the repairer, Melissa notices Leukocyte approaching, and they quickly take cover and hide in a hidden passage in the ceiling, which is where the pipes are located. Once the coast is clear, Melissa returns to her plumbing duties, while Malice, enticed by the memory of her dream, goes through a different giant pipe, though not in a Mario Brothers fashion. Instead, she climbs up a ladder and finds herself in a room where she's never been before. She then sees what appears to be the spectral of a little girl holding a ball, who guides Malice to a room that contains a large stone-like structure and appears to represent the sun and the crescent moon. But upon talking to the structure, let's say snake-like monster bursts out from within the object and proceeds to do what a certain iconic python does, which became a thing over the years, meaning it proceeds to hypnotize Malice into falling asleep. But it doesn't eat her for lunch. Instead, we see Malice back in her own room, alive and unharmed, but something seems off about her this time. Her hair color has changed from pink to brunette, and her clothes have also changed. Yes, it turns out that Malice has not only survived that monster attack, but it also transformed her into a human, kind of like Pinocchio, but without the blue fairy or Jiminy Cricket. Or Bogart the Roach. I love that reference. I love the critic. Good times, good times. Despite initially enjoying her newfound humanity and the senses of her new human body, Jo rejects Malice, which upsets her enough to run away. But Leukocyte attacks Malice, defeating Jo when the administrator tries to rescue her and proceeds to chase Malice until she reaches the elevator, which takes her up to the floor above, only to find that Leukocyte has caught up to her and tries to attack her again. But Melissa finds Malice and helps her hide. Unfortunately, Malice accidentally gives away their hiding spot when a single tear she sheds from her eye lands on Leukocyte, resulting in the hostile robot to bisect Melissa. A heartbroken and apologetic Malice kisses Melissa, but something happens when she does. Malice's kiss not only revives Melissa, but her kiss causes Melissa to mutate into the robotic equivalent of Harvey Dent. The revived yet mutated Melissa defeats and destroys Leukocyte, but at the cost of her own life, with Malice crying out for her to stop. We then see Malice in the elevator where she meets the actual repairer that she was looking for, Todd Repairer, but when he examines her and tells her that she's not a machine, that upsets her even further and causes her to return to the red light district to seek out her fellow dolls for comfort. Unfortunately, they shun Malice and she flees back to her room, where she hallucinates about her life as a gaming partner for male humans, which horrifies Malice. The only fellow doll who does comfort her is Heather, who usually teases her. Good for her. After a conversation where Malice and Heather admit that they like each other, they kiss each other. Hey-yo! Woo! Yes! However, just like with Melissa, this results in Heather mutating and becoming something close to a human. But, well, remember when I said this OVA is a mixture of Nier Automata with Eraserhead and Saya no Uta? Well, now you know why. Now with Heather having the same warmth as Malice, the two dolls decide to turn their fellow dolls and the other machines into similar beings like them by kissing them, with the intention of bringing happiness to all the machines as a way to give them hope and the joys of feeling human. Unfortunately, as said before, some maintain their original appearances, while others end up mutating in a similar fashion to Melissa and Heather. Malice with her kiss and Heather with Malice's kiss mutate Amanda, Misty, and Elsa, who are their other fellow dolls. Even Freddy ends up getting mutated by Malice when she kisses him. Yeah! Doris, a fellow doll and the leader of the other dolls, warned Heather, Amanda, Misty, and Elsa to stay away from Malice when they shunned her earlier, after she returned to the red light district. That moment took place before Heather snuck off to find Malice. But when Malice and the mutated Heather begin their reign of mutating the rest of the machine life forms, Doris and Misty were returning to the red light district after failing to find oil, with Doris asking Misty to gather the other dolls and inform Jo of their need for oil. But when waiting for Misty to return, Elsa surprises Doris with her new Harvey Dent makeup thanks to Malice's kiss. What, you think you can come up with something better than that? But that causes Doris to run off freaked out and find Misty, who she finds inside one of the nearby buildings. But thanks to Malice's kiss, Misty was also transformed into a new being complete with new contact lenses. But that also causes Doris to run off freaked out even further and encounter Freddy, now turned into a Halloween-like creature after receiving a kiss from Malice. Lucky him. He offers to give Doris a kiss, but she runs off horrified into an alleyway and trips on the ground, where she stumbles upon all the other mutated machines and screams in fear upon seeing their grotesque appearances. The only machine who resists the temptation is Joe when he encounters the mutated Heather, who tries to kiss him. In retaliation, he attacks Heather in defense, which causes her to bleed from the wound she received from Joe's attack. At the same time, Malice receives a visit from Doris, now mentally shattered and desperate to receive a kiss from Malice, apologizing to her for treating her like an outsider. Malice accepts and proceeds to kiss Doris. Around the same time these events happen, Amanda comes across and kisses another machine called Chick Soldier. Wait, is that even a word? Well, we know it is. Mutating him as the mutated Elsa and Misty roamed the red light district, creating havoc and chaos. When Joe arrives at Malice's house, he takes her outside to show her the results of her actions, that her kiss resulted in pain and indecent madness within the hosts of those she infected, with Heather, who's still bleeding from her inflicted wound, being one of those showing symptoms of the former. Upon seeing her actions and filled with horror, Malice screams. We see the mutated and by extension the infected dolls as Elsa, Misty, and Doris show their gratitude to Malice for giving them newfound human senses, while Heather and Amanda are... they're not doing so well. Mostly Amanda. Poor Amanda. But we do see Heather sitting in an alleyway, with empty eyes as she questions if what's happening to her is true. As she does so, Heather admits to wanting to be like Malice, pretty and attractive. She also admits the reason why she teased Malice is because she simply wanted to hear her voice, confessing it as a sign of her affection towards Malice. Well, for one who teased Malice out of affection, she at least admitted why she did it. It was all out of love. We see Malice in her room again, trying to deny her actions as part of what she wanted. She then sees the ghost girl from before again appear in her room, who leads her outside and onto the streets of the red light district, only to find Heather dying from her wound in the alleyway, who then dies in Malice's arms. But before she dies, Heather states her affection for Malice. "Rest in peace, Heather. We will always remember you." Now completely heartbroken, yet with Joe at her side, Malice resolves to return to the room where it all began with the snake-like creature. By the time the two reach the area, Joe discovers that only Malice can see the ghost girl while he can't. To see what Malice sees, Joe asks her to kiss him. Though Malice obliges at first, she pushes Joe away and sprint-dashes to the door, separating herself from Joe. When Malice enters the room, she finds the snake creature lying on the ground, seemingly appearing to be dead. She demands the structure that was holding the beast to return everything back to normal, but gets no reply. Angered, she begins to tear apart the structure and finds something else inside. A glowing version of herself who wakes up from sleeping upon being found. The glowing Malice double talks to Malice about her dream of dolls having a body like this. Malice speaks of a dream she had about dolls existing as simple robots with unfeeling hearts, and begins to question whether she was or wasn't a doll in reality, or if being a doll was a dream. Once she shouts that she no longer needs her new human body, she begins to fuse with the structure as Joe Admin, now transformed into a mutated being after getting Doris to kiss him, walks in and tries to save her. Unfortunately, the structure reforms around Malice, trapping her within it. Joe Admin walks towards the reformed structure and kisses it, admitting that he wanted to see the same thing Malice saw. We see a flashback of Malice before her transformation, encountering the structure for the first time. Back in the present, we hear Malice stating that she'll dream a different dream and transforms into a glowing angelic being, which makes the structure disintegrate and vanish before she flies away. We then see all the machines and the dolls, except for Melissa, restored to normal, but Malice is referred to as a song, making it look like Malice created a new alternate reality after deciding to dream a different dream and transforming into the angelic-like being, removing herself from her friend's memories as a doll and only existing as a disembodied singing voice. Only Heather sees Malice in her new form flying over her and the other dolls, as the former chases the latter with gleeful joy, calling out to her saying, "Good morning, hello, and take care," as Malice flies away. We then see Joe Admin fighting Leukocyte, and this time succeed in defeating the vicious machine. Then Malice in her new form appears in front of Joe, flying towards him and kissing him before phasing through him due to her new form. The story ends with Malice flying out of the machine world and towards a light to the surface, which is presumed to be the entrance to the outside world. I just want to give a huge thanks to my fellow patrons for helping me create this story recap. It took me about 2 months to complete it. It's my first recap video after all. But I couldn't have done it without your love and support. If you enjoyed this video, please share it on any other site or social media with other fans. It's the best way to support the channel. If you love any form of art such as illustrations or animatics, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or visit me on DeviantArt and Instagram. Thank you for watching.